Right. Alison Watkins, the first thing you did when you took over at Coca-Cola Amatil was to split the non-alcoholic and alcoholic divisions into two and have them each report directly to you. And when you did that, you said that the non-alcoholic beverages division needed strong leadership in close alignment with Coca-Cola Company to execute against agreed strategy, leverage strength and drive transformational change. So I'm wondering, what was the problem that requires transformational change?
On the non-alcoholic side, clearly that business has got quite tough for us over the last couple of years. It's a very difficult and challenging environment out there, and we spoke about that when we updated the market in April. And I really want to make sure that we can give absolute priority focus to that business. It's such an important part of CCA. The alcohol and licensed business, on the other hand, is one of our growth businesses. We're very excited about it, but it's got some different opportunities ahead of it, and I equally want to make sure we give it every chance of success.
Well, so what you're talking about, the challenges, is presumably the fact that your grocery volumes fell by 8.2% in 2013. And that seems to have been because of an increase in the premium, the price premium over Pepsi, by 6 percentage points. Is that right? And was that just a massive mistake by CCA last year?
There are a lot of dynamics going on. What we've seen is more significant volume loss actually in the traditional route customers, so the small stores who are doing it pretty tough out there, and that's where we've seen the greatest volume loss. In grocery, that's a very important segment for us. There are some important dynamics going on there around price, and it's not an environment that's conducive to taking price increases at the moment. We need to respond to our customers' desire for more innovation and really restore all parts of our business to growth.
But you mucked it up last year by putting price up, right? That was the problem.
I think it's true to say that it's an environment where we can't rely on price as much as we have been able to do in the past. Clearly our brands are really strong and they will continue to command a premium, and we will continue to invest in our brands to make sure that that's the case. But it's an environment where we do need to respond to the consumer's desire for better value, which the large customers are obviously supporting and enabling, and we need to work hard on our cost base as well.
Alison, these challenges that you're experiencing and the losses of volume, are these transitory issues relating to today's circumstance, or is there a structural threat to CSDs?
Well, a lot of our volume, of course, does come from sparkling categories, but we also have very important roles to play in the non-sparkling categories, so like sports drink with Powerade, for example, energy with Mother, Mount Franklin and water. So we do have a lot of volume outside sparkling. Sparkling is tremendously important to us, and we've been, I think, very successful in driving the no-calorie options. So obviously Zero has been tremendously successful. Diet Coke plays a really important role. And our flavours, Fanta and Sprite, are also very important for us. We need to make sure that we continue to invest in the sparkling category. It is, I think, and brand Coke is clearly an absolutely outstanding product for us to have in our portfolio. We need to make sure that we continue to respond to the changes that consumers are looking for around more options, lower calorie options, smaller pack sizes, and we're doing all that. And I'm really actually very confident that brand Coke and sparkling will continue to be the engine of Coca-Cola Amatil.
What proportion of your revenue is represented by Coke now?
Oh, look, it remains, it's a very high proportion of our revenue. It's certainly 2/3 or of that order.
And what proportion of your profit is it?
It's also very attractive margins for us.
Is it 2/3 of your profits as well as 2/3 of your revenue, or is it?
It would be higher. It would be slightly higher than that.
Alison, looked at on a global basis, is your production, warehousing and transport systems state of the art?
Absolutely. One of the things that the company's done really well, and I'm delighted to see because I've worked in a lot of other companies in our industry that haven't been able to invest the way that we have. So we have excellent supply chain assets, and also our IT investments have been first rate over the last few years.
I want to take you across to SPC at this point, then bring you back to Coke. We saw in SPC the labour agreement they had there was an agreement from hell. One of those agreements should never have been signed. No flexibility in it. That was the problem, or very limited flexibility. First of all, have you fixed it there at SPC? Is that all fixed up now and proper labour agreement?
Yeah, look, SPC, as far as I've seen, actually, the workforce at SPC are tremendously committed to the future of the company, and they've played a really constructive role, including responding to the need for more flexibility. But SPC, our workers are not paid over the odds. There were some small parts of the workforce that we have now outsourced and gained greater flexibility through that. But the core workforce at SPC are really very, very supportive of the company's objectives and behaving extremely consistently with that.
I wonder whether at Coca-Cola itself, similar very rigid labour agreements exist which are holding you back.
Well, again, I think from everything I'm seeing, the workforce at Coca-Cola Amatil, and we're having discussions with employees at quite a number of our sites at the moment, and they are being extremely constructive likewise. I think we all appreciate just how difficult it is for manufacturing companies in Australia, and you know, our workers can see the pressure on volumes, and they understand, and they are highly motivated with us, that we need to build a strong future for Coca-Cola Amatil. We want to be and continue to be a leading Australian manufacturing business and to continue to create jobs and prosperity, and all their behaviour is consistent with that.
Can I put that a different way, that you had bad agreements but you believe you can fix them because the workforce understands the problem?
I think that our agreements, from what I've seen, are not out of line with what I've seen in other industries.
Other industries are bad too. You've got to have flexible agreements or they don't work.
Flexibility is certainly absolutely very, very important for us, and as I said, I'm just delighted with the way we're able to engage in good conversations with our employees.
Alison, you referred earlier to the supply chain and the IT platforms, which I think everyone does agree are first rate. But do you think, as the pressure's built on the business over the last couple of years and its growth rates tapered, do you think there's been too much focus on the costs and the supply chain and not enough on the product and the innovation?
Well, I think I'd much rather have the investment in the supply chain that's happened than not, and I don't think those things are either or. I certainly do agree, and I think we're having some great conversations with the Coca-Cola company around how we really make sure that we are putting sustained investment against our brands, because for a company like us, that is absolutely the heart of who we are. We have some great brands, and we need to make sure that we continue to remind our consumers of not only the energy and excitement, but also the intrinsic benefits. Coca-Cola, for example, it's a wonderfully refreshing drink. We can offer our consumers great alternatives around the zero diet, no-cal options, as well as the red Coke. And so we've got a really good job, I think, to do ahead of us, and I'm very excited about the progress that we've been making with the Coca-Cola company. I think we all recognise the marketing's not been where we aspire for it to be, and where it will be over the coming years.
I take it from what you're saying before that you're getting better growth in alcoholic beverages than non-alcoholic, is that right?
Well, the alcoholic part of our portfolio is small and growing. And that's really encouraging. However, our focus is very much on our core business, which is our non-alcoholic beverages business.
We've seen quite a fall in many areas of retail since the budget. Have you seen a similar situation with your range of products?
I think the budget has probably exacerbated somewhat what was already a fairly cautious consumer, and we've certainly seen from all the surveys that consumer confidence has taken a bit of a knock from the budget as consumers work through what does it really mean for me.
And has that affected your sales?
I think that we're seeing, caution expressed by a lot of certainly the retailers, back in April we said that we expected trading conditions to be challenging and for that to continue through the second half, and that remains our expectation.
We've seen a lot of discussion and debate in recent years about the power of the supermarkets and the amount of pressure that they put on their suppliers. Do you feel that pressure, and also do you see the rise of the home brands affecting your categories?
Look, we have a great relationship with our major retailers, and there's always a lot of sort of challenge from them, I think, which helps us. For example, they're very keen to see greater innovation from us, and I think that's a very appropriate challenge. They're keen to see us plan over longer timeframes with them, and I think that's a very appropriate challenge. So I feel that having really good, strong retailers in our market is a good thing for suppliers like us. It helps lift us, it lifts our standards, and that's a positive dynamic for us.
So you don't see any unfairness in the dealings that you've had with the chains?
We're in a fantastic position with our retail partners. We have great brands. We have a very important role to play in their broader offer, and we're a large company, so no, I don't see anything of that nature.
With SPC, first of all, has the demand for SPC products held the higher levels that came about with all the controversy? And secondly, are you still fully committed for the investment program that was announced a few months back?
Yeah, look, SPC's been a great story, and I think most of us are familiar with the wonderful support that we've had from consumers, which has certainly boosted sales quite significantly, and that boost continues. And customers, of course, for example, the 5-year deal that we've signed up with Woolworths have really rallied behind the SPC brand and company. So yeah, that's been very, very positive for us. We have committed with the Victorian Government to a $100 million investment program. We recently announced that we are reviewing that because unfortunately we had a little bit of a setback with the Shepparton Council recently voting against a closure of a road that bisects our site, and that has meant that we need to go back to the drawing board somewhat as far as the site layout and design goes. We were hoping that we'd be able to have the site operate as one integrated flow, which clearly would assist efficiencies, and in that kind of business, efficiencies are pretty important. So we are rethinking those plans. I'm very confident that this business has a really strong future, and that a significant investment program will be part of that, and we're very, very grateful for the support that we have from the Victorian Government and also from the local community, although disappointed clearly at that decision.
Alison, could I ask you to think forward 5 years, and what do you think Coca-Cola Amatil looks like in 5 years' time? Will Coca-Cola and the sparkling beverages be a smaller proportion of the revenue? Will alcoholic beverages, beer and spirits, be larger? Will you still be in food?
Yeah, look, we're working through a really good process at the moment, Alan, to really answer exactly those questions, and it'd be premature for me to comment on that. But I know that brand Coca-Cola and the other brands that we have through our relationship with the Coca-Cola company will be an absolutely integral part. I would expect that we would be an even stronger participant across all the categories that we play in, both non-alcoholic and alcoholic. I think that we'll be innovative, and that fruit-based innovation will be very much a part of that story. And then, of course, Indonesia, which is a wonderful growth option for us today, will be a more significant part of our portfolio as well. So I think we have a very exciting future to look forward to.
Alison, you say Indonesia is a wonderful growth option, but the growth's all been about volume, hasn't it? And costs have outstripped volume growth. Can you see a point where that business actually becomes a consistent and reliable kind of franchise, a mature franchise?
Indonesia is a rapidly changing market, and we've had a very strong position there. Amatil's been present in Indonesia since 1992, so it's a market we know very well, and we've adapted to the different political and economic environments that have played out over the 22 years we've been operating in. We've adapted very, very well. We will need to continue to adapt because as the middle class continues to emerge very rapidly and are really keen to consume more non-alcoholic ready to drink, we need to make sure that we're accessible and available for all of those emerging consumers. And we also need to recognise that there's quite a lot more competition in the segments that we're in. So certainly in colas, in juice, in teas, and juice, teas, waters are very important in Indonesia. There's really a lot stronger competitors there now, and so we need to adjust our strategy. We're working on how that will play through, but certainly I think for us to continue to grow with the market is an important objective.
You seem to be pursuing a deeper and warmer engagement with the Coca-Cola company than your predecessor Terry Davis had. Could that open the door at some point to you getting another Asian franchise?
I think it's premature to speculate about that. We'll continue to do our very best with the franchises that we have, and yes, absolutely working very closely with the Coca-Cola company. We see as essential to doing that. We have exclusivity each way pretty much on our non-alcoholic portfolio, so it makes good sense to work collaboratively with them. We have a need to really make sure we get strong investment into the brands, innovation. Those are very strong capabilities that the Coca-Cola company brings. So we are keen to make sure that we work very productively together, and I'm really confident that the motivation is there on both sides for that to happen.
Thanks very much, Alison.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Alan. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Bob.